boss, Michael Bimo, comes. He's like, hey, so what's it going to take to have you here every day? I'm like, yo, let's talk about it. Let's make, so then we work out our details. And then Monday through Friday, doing Flipside at 5, the first DJ in Chicago history to be live at 5 o'clock on the radio.
Really?
From what I've been told, that is the truth. That's my his part of history.
That's huge.
Is that I'm the first to be live at 5 o'clock Monday through Friday. But again, doing Flipside at 5 in Chicago, it's different because we're mixing records. Like I'm doing acapellas on live radio. Like who does that?
Well, all right. Battle raps cause I've shaken grown men to the point that they can't even face their own friends. That's why they rhyme about jewels, not life, cause the ice on which they skating is so...
Welcome back to the Party with Strategy podcast. Thank you guys for joining us. We got a very special guest on the couch. I'm super excited. A Chicago absolute legend. I mean, there's not a person that I know that I grew up with that didn't grow up listening to this man on the radio. And now you're a Chicago Bulls entertainment director, right? Coordinator, something like that.
Well, we're music coordinator and official DJ, along with 3 other DJs as well.
Okay,
which we'll talk about. Yeah.
Okay, tight. Yeah, we're definitely going to get into all that, and just a nightclub. I was gonna say deviant, but that doesn't fit you.
That's not really the C's.
That doesn't fit you. That's mostly everyone else. I feel like you're very... Yeah,
I'm like, I don't drink, I don't do drugs. I'm like, I'm allergic to alcohol. So deviant probably isn't that, know, and married. So definitely not messing around with all these other girls or anything like that. So,
but definitely running the club scene. I mean, running anything that has to do with DJing in this city. I feel like you have done to the max.
I appreciate that. I've definitely been lucky to have a lot of people get me in the positions that let me do all these things. But I've done a lot, and that's just like the tip of the iceberg of all the stuff that you've said, because there's definitely a lot more than that too.
Yeah, so let's get into it.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. I've been enjoying the podcast. I've seen you from the beginnings when it was just no backgrounds and everything like that, and like seeing how you've grown and you've come such a long way, and like with the sponsorships and like the artwork and everything, like it looks really good. Even just watching it at home on YouTube, and then when the notification comes off, when you hit that bell, you run to watch the pod. So good job, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, DJ Flipside,
hey.
the man himself. So I just want to start with a small story for you.
Okay, let's go.
Literally the first gig I ever played outside of my bedroom, the first time I ever DJ'd anywhere outside of my bedroom, was some house party in Skokie on the north side where I grew up. And like they were trying to get me to do it. I had just started DJing, and this kid's throwing a party. He's like, bro, come DJ. I'm like, I don't know. I don't want to bring all my stuff. I'm not even that good, this and that. He's like, dude, Flipside's gonna be DJing, like you gotta be there. And I was like, oh shit, if Flipside's I'm like, all right, cool, I'm gonna be there.
It was a house party?
I go there. Well, yeah, it was a house party. I get there, somebody shows up and says, yo, what's good? I'm Flip the script.
Oh.
And I was like, this is not Flipside, bro. So either they sold me knowing it was a lie, or they mixed it up, or something happened. But like that was like literally the first time I ever left my crib ready to DJ somewhere.
Oh, I love that. That's so funny, because I mean, in Skokie there's a big Filipino community. Mm-hmm. So like I didn't know. I'm like, I don't remember doing a house party in Skokie, but like I could see there being a Flip, like someone else trying to Flip use that something. Name. Yeah, exactly. That's hilarious. I love that. How do you do?
I don't even know. The party got busted up. The cops came. It was a whole thing. I'm like gathering my equipment, trying to put my computer away. And luckily, it was a little controller, whatever.
Do you remember the time where at one point like DJing was illegal? And the cops were like they're shutting down parties and arresting DJs, and even like taking their needles and like doing the whole. It was like I can't remember what year that was, but they were making a big stop like across the country where DJs were getting arrested for throwing throwing parties in general, because
really?
I can't remember. It was drugs and like all these other things that were happening, but they wouldn't just arrest the promoters, they would arrest DJs, take their records, take their CDs, like take all this and take needles off the turntables. Like that was insane. I can't remember what year that was, but that was in like DJ Times magazine. They were talking about like this whole era where they're really shutting down DJs. I'm like, this is crazy.
No, I didn't even know that was a thing. I'm glad I missed that.
Yeah,
I would have gotten arrested for sure.
I was scared. Like I remember I'd have my 5 bags of records when I was, doing the clubs and stuff like that, and then, bringing your own needles and all that. To be as a DJ, you should be prepared. Bring your own stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I remember just being so scared. Like, oh, this is gonna get shut down. They're gonna take my needles, man. These are $100 needles each one, and all that.
That'd be crazy. No, please tell me everything, bro. I just wanted to give you that real quick, but I need to know where you're from, how you got started into the game, how you got into radio, how you went from radio to doing every nightclub that ever existed in this entire city, getting to the Bulls, everything in between.
Yeah.
All of that.
Yeah. Okay. So that's a long story.
Yeah.
I'll try to condense it as much as possible, but there's details that I, want to talk about. But I started, I used to be like a B-boy when I was a kid. So I, watching Beat Street, and like seeing, the DJ in there and seeing breakdancing. My brother and I, we used to dance like at our talent shows in elementary school. So I would, use pause tapes to make the edits. And for those of you who don't know what cassettes are, basically, before I ever learned about what DJing was, I was listening to the B96 mix masters, Bad Boy Bill, Bobby D, all the Julian John Perez, like all those guys early, and listening how they were doing hot mixes and going back and forth and recording their mixes on the radio, and like, dude, this is DJing. This is amazing. Like, I want to do this. So I would take a karaoke machine that had a pitch bend on it, so I could change the speed of the song, and then the karaoke machine had an auxiliary input on it, and I would take a CD player, put that through the input. On one side of the cassette or the karaoke machine, I would have record. On another one, I'd have the song that I want to mix. So then I'd play the CD and then pause the song on one side and be like, okay, this is where it's going to start. Hold the pause on the record, and then when the time came, when the song was coming through the CD player, I'd unpause both. And then the songs would mix together. And then I count the timing, pause, and then go to another song, and then like make mixes that way.
That's crazy.
Because I didn't know like what turned, like I saw it on like Kid and Play, like when they would perform in Wiz with like the DJ Wiz with like scratching, like that's turntable. Oh, like, oh, that's cool. And then like I told my dad, I was like, hey, I really want to try this DJ stuff, and like I want to do this. I'm going to do what these guys on the radio are doing. And he's like, yeah, that's expensive. Like, I don't really know. Like, but I guess from the way my dad tells it is that he had a turntable, and I guess I broke his needle and like scratched one of his records, like, and like just trying to pretend to scratch. He's like, okay, let's find out what we can get. And then he went to like the Diamond District in Chicago, and he found a place that sold like very starter turntables and a Techniques at the time, $400, $500, $600, and he found linear tech turntables, which were belt driven, and a linear tech mixer for $400 for all of it. So the 2 turntables and the mixer, and he bought that for me at the age of 13. And I'm like, like, this is amazing. Thank you so much. So I'm like, I go home and I'm like, all right, well, I need records. So like now, so then the first record that I ever bought was DJ Sneak, Work It. So if you're Chicago house head, you know what that is. And then the second record that I got was actually Tupac, I Get Around. So it's ironic because you can't mix those together at all, because I just like, these are, this is records. And then I went shopping, bought some other stuff. The next couple of records were Brighter Days, You Got Me Up, And then I brought some other hip hop records, Insane in the Brain, and like a couple other things. And then my sister, older sister Sheila, she had a friend who was a DJ who had a bunch of crates of records who just loaned me some. So then he had like techno records and house records and freestyle and like all these other, and some hip hop too. And that's where I started my collection and learning how to DJ, listening to these mix masters and learning how to DJ on belt driven turntables, which if you've ever, the technology back then wasn't as good as belt driven turntables now, but like it's totally different than a direct drive techniques. So like me learning how to scratch on there, watching Jazzy Jeff on the American Music Awards, like scratch with Will Smith, like what is that? Like then that kind of comes into it. And then all of a sudden I hear about DMC and like, what is Hubert? Like who's this Filipino guy that's just murdering things, and just watching all these DMC videos and then like wanting to do that too. So now I'm mixing techno records, but then I'm also DJing battle stuff and then learning how to scratch and like ordering all the VHS tapes that you can get and watching all this to learn how to do battle stuff. And then somebody like DJ Speed comes on the radio and he's playing hip hop on B96. And I'm like, I'm growing up in the age of Tribe Called Quest and all these things. So I'm always a hip hop head. Like my first CD I ever got was CNC Music Factory. And that was even before we had a CD player. And then that's like how all that kind of kicked off. And then like one of the other ones I bought was like Fushnikins. Like,
nice.
So like my collection was very diverse, and hearing all these house records on the radio really influenced me. And like hearing Speed play like scratch on the radio and like do juggles and stuff, like, wow, this is kind of cool to hear turntablism on the radio, other than like Bad Boy Bill doing turntablism with house music and doing his scratches and juggles and stuff like that. And like all of that super influenced me. When I'm a kid, I'm like, man, I want to be on B96 one day. And that was like setting a goal. Like you set a goal and then you try to achieve it, right? So trying to learn how to do all these things, try to like make mixes. In high school, I would, even in elementary school, I'd make mixtapes and sell them at $7 a tape. Because at the time, a record was $5.99 per record. So that's per song. So every time you want to buy one song, you got to buy $5.99. So I carried a briefcase of cassettes. And every time I'd go to school, I'd bring it, sell the tapes. Every tape I sold, bought a new record. Bought the record, made a new mixtape because now I have new music. Mm-hmm. So I just kept doing that, which got me enough money to buy Technique turntables and like buy all this stuff. Because my parents didn't want to buy me any more gear. Like if you want to get something, you got to pay for it yourself. But they were so supportive of it. And they're kind of like, hey, as long as you're doing well in school, you can continue to do this. So I'm doing soccer, I'm doing like athletic stuff, and then I'm doing my schooling, being in National Honor Society and like doing all the things for school that are like, top tier. I wasn't like 4.0 or anything, like I wasn't, but I was doing well enough that they were happy and they saw my drive in music and like taking me into a whole nother direction. So it's like really, really great to have a family, and like my siblings would always support me and like do all these little parties here and there, and I would like DJ for their parties or whatever. So like I've had a great support system in that aspect of just getting my spot started, or like my DJ career started.
Yeah.
So I know, sorry, it's like we're not even at
this is fine. The one missing piece of information I have right now is what area are you from?
I grew up in Hoffman Estates. Okay. Actually. So which is a suburb of Chicago. And so it was like my high school was really, really diverse. So we had, there's a majority white people, but then we had Asians, we had black people, we had Latinos, we had like Indians, it wasn't like, it was diverse where everyone was kind of cool. We all kind of got along. Like I was able to hang out. Well, I was lucky. All right. So I have an older sister who's 5 years older than me. and then another sister who's 3 years older than me, and then a brother that's 2 years older than me. So they were super popular in high school. And so when I walk in the door as a freshman, like, I'm running shit because they're like, oh my God, you're Stein's brother, or you're Steph's brother, or you're Sheila's brother. Yeah. So the teachers knew who they were because they were all good students. They were all good kids. And, my family, we all came from a great upbringing. And so like everyone knew who they were. My brother was the hot one. So it was, oh my God, you're Stein's brother? So like I was able to like, really intermix with everyone from every different culture too. So like I wasn't just hanging out with Asians, I was hanging out with everyone. So it was really, really, really cool to have that as my environment as well. And even the people in my high school, they supported me when CD burning became a thing, and like bought my CDs and stuff like that. Like they're like, because I didn't have a CD player or a CD burner. One of my friends had one, so I'd like sleep over at his house. He's like, yo, you could burn CDs at my house. So like it was like all kind of a whole community helped bring me up too as well. So it was really awesome. Really good to be in that aspect of it. But yeah, doing all of this stuff in high school, the junior high school, and then eventually I went to college. I did a semester at Harper, and then I did a year and a half at U of I in Urbana-Champaign. And that's part of what really kicked off my career. Well, actually, before we talk about that, I said before I used to dance and I used to be a b-boy and all that. I DJ'd a party in the suburbs, and the club was called Baja Beach Club, and it was in Vernon Hills. And one of my friends, Wes, he knew DJ Speed, and he's like, yo, Speed's working at us at this club, why don't you come dance with us, and then maybe we'll have you DJ too. So I'm like, all right, cool. I love DJ Speed's mixes are killing it. I'd love to meet him. Went home, burned a CD, and then like when I met him, I gave him the CD. I'm like, yo, Speed, what's up? I'm such a big fan. Thank you thank you for what you're doing on the radio. All these things. He's like, yeah. He's like, you Filipino? I'm like, yeah. You Phil? He's like, yeah, I'm Filipino. I'm like, all right, cool. Bet you're cool. So like we had this Filipino connection because everyone thought DJ Speed was black because he was the first hip hop DJ on B96. And then when they found out he was Filipino, they're like, oh, I had no idea. So it was kind of cool that we had that connection. And then I don't know if you ever listened to that mix because later on, I ended up, well, before we get to that, I gave him a house mix at the time, which was like Chicago or Hard House, like DJ Tragic and Looking for the Butter and like stuff like that. And he was doing a radio show called The Street Flavor on Sundays. And he would have guest mixers on. So I gave him one of the CDs, like, yo, this is dope. This is so great. We're going to put you on the air. So he put it on the air. I'm at U of I at the time, and I'm listening to it over the phone, like listening to my mix on the air. This is so awesome. I'm on the radio. And then I gave him another mix, which was old school house. So that was like Brighter Days and like that kind of stuff. He's like, yo, this is the one. So he played that one like another week, and he got like, he said the phone calls were ringing. Like, this is awesome. Who's this guy? Flipside and blah, 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 blah. And then he tells me that he's going to start DJing at U of I on Thursdays at a place called Joe's. I'm like, bro, can I open for you? He's like, yeah, sure. We need people on the ground to help get us all, tell all the students to come. So I'm like, fuck yeah, like, let's do this. So I take my skateboard and I put 4 crates of record on the skateboard, and I push that from the dorms to the club because I don't have a car. I don't have, I'm just there hustling. So then I go there, I open, and he's like, oh man, you're doing really, really good. You just need to slow down a little bit. Because what I was doing is I was like making it sound like I'm doing the hot mix, like intros that Chicago mixtapes were known for, where I'm going, this record, 30 seconds. It's like, bro, when we're live, you can chill a little bit. You know, I understand and appreciate what you're doing, but then you could let the songs ride a little bit, and then like, oh, okay, all right. He's like, but so like that helped me really transform a little bit of like understanding the programming of a night, because I was also banging it out at 9 o'clock.
Yeah,
it's like, yeah, you could save some of that for midnight when we're on, and then you know here's some other stuff that you can play. And then I'm like, all right, cool. So Speed really taught me like the game of DJing, where it's, you know, the nightclub has, you know, time slots, and it's not just you're gonna showcase, but you can't showcase with the hottest shit right now. You're gonna create your own vibe, but create this thing so that when people come in and the headliners go on, like me, like, you know, he's like him, like us, then they have their chance to shine too.
Yeah.
And play the biggest stuff when everyone's there, and taught me like all that stuff. And I'm sorry, you have a question?
I just real quick, I want you to break down, if you can, because you said like the hot mixing Chicago style that we're known for. Just for anyone who's not from Chicago or doesn't know, like, what is that exactly?
So I feel like when you talk about mixtapes, a lot of people think about New York mixtapes, and it's like DJ Clue and like these guys, where their mixtapes were more about freestyles. Like, I'm gonna play a song, DMX is freestyling it, nobody else has a track but me, because DMX came in to do it. And there were certain guys over there where they would actually do like creative stuff, you know. But I feel like in Chicago, it was less about I have an exclusive hip hop guy or whatever. It was mega mixes where the first minute and a half of your mixtape has to be the most incredible thing you've ever heard. And they would go like song to song to song, like every, not even 15 seconds, like every 4 beats or so, it would be like this hot part, or then this hot part, like this hot part. And then there would be creative word plays that would happen in these intros, and it was like nonstop. The songs would go quick, and you wouldn't ever hear a song longer than a minute, even a minute, like minute and a half. Like any of that was really unheard of until you get like to the B-side of the mixtape. So it was all about creativity, pulling songs that you never thought would mix together, but mixing them together and being creative with it, or being funny with it, and doing all of these things. And I feel like Chicago mixtapes never really get their credit of the creativity of mixing records and of mixing them in a creative, fun way, which majorly influence how my brain thinks when I'm listening to things like that. If you look at like, do you remember the Jock Jams Mega Mix that for ESPN? Like, I don't know if that's before your time too. Like,
I remember the Jock Jams commercials and shit, like the CD that had all the hit songs on it, like a compilation, right?
Yeah. So there was one of the compilations actually had like a mega mix is what they would call it. And that was actually made by Bobby D and actually DJ Riddler from Houston. But
shouts to Riddler.
Yeah, the homies right there. These guys, they put together this mega mix that became like iconic with sports, you know, and even the radio stations would play it, and it, you know, it's Pump Up the Jam, it's Gary Glitter was in there, and like all of these, y'all ready for this, and like all that, those 90s sports jams, they made this mega mix. And that's kind of a good example of making these edits and being creative and making all these things work together. And that's like a big style of Chicago mixtapes back then. You look at Bad Boy Bill's intros, Julian John Perez's intros, like they would all be super duper creative, and that was like a big deal. So that's what I'm listening to. So when I'm performing live, I'm trying to do that.
Yeah.
And that's why he was like, you don't have to do that when you're performing at a club. Like this, that's for mixtapes. That's a different thing. So like really learning that aspect of the game and be like figuring it out. And you can hear that even in my styles now, that whole mixtape creativity and, flying through different records and word plays and stuff like that, because that all kind of I heard all of that in the 90s too. So that's what influenced that style, and then the DMC aspect of it as well. So yeah, so I had my guest spot on the Street Flavor, and working with Speed and opening with him every week is like, bro, we gotta get you in Chicago. Like, so I ended up leaving U of I and going back to Chicago and going to school at DeVry, getting my bachelor's degree in telecommunications, because I told my parents, or my parents told me essentially, like, you still need a degree. Like, get a degree and we'll support you with music and doing all the things, but as long as you get your degree, because they'll never be able to take away your education from you.
Right.
You'll always have, your degree to fall back on if DJing doesn't work out. So, so I would go to school, DJ with Speed in the clubs in Chicago. And then there would also be time, and I'd go to school. Well, this is insane. So we would also do U of I, ISU, and a couple other colleges, like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So I would like go to ISU Wednesday night, 2.5 hour drive from Chicago, drive back that night, sleep in the parking lot, go to class, get back, take a nap in the car a lot again, go to U of I on Thursday night, do their party, go back home, take a shower, do all my things, and then like go back to school. Like, I was sleeping in the parking lots a lot just so I can make class and, get my degree and stuff like that. So that was part of my hustle. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, going back and forth from different colleges and still going to school.
And you're 17, 18?
Yeah. Well, I mean, 19.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, you're out of high school.
Yeah,
you're in college.
This is college now
so
at
like
this point.
20,
So
21, 19.
not 21 yet.
Okay.
1920. So Speed ended up introducing me with a guy, Jamie, from CRX, which is Columbia's college radio station.
Okay.
So they wanted to have their own hip hop show on the air too. So they put me as their resident DJ. So that was actually my first radio experience, was doing Columbia College. It was me. DJ Third Rail was on the show too, who's incredible, like underground hip hop DJ, like playing. It's crazy what we got away with on that radio station in terms of what we were playing. And so Speed introduced me to Jamie, so he got me on the radio. Now I'm on college radio in Market 3 Chicago. So Speed introduces me to all the record reps. Like, yo, this is the next guy. Like, he's killing it in the clubs. He's on radio. Here's the record pool. Give him everything that you give me. And like, so I'm getting all this, like, the stuff that they haven't sold in stores yet. All the labels send it to record pools. This was before they were digital. They would send them to the record pools, and then if you were cool enough to be in it, you'd get the exclusive first. You'd get 2 copies, sometimes 4 copies. Speed would get the most copies because he was on, B96, big Market 3, huge. Record labels want that spin. A spin is a spin.
Yeah.
And so like that's like a whole nother game of radio and record spins and stuff like that. But then doing that for a bunch, for I can't remember how many years. It must have been 3 years. So in that time span of me doing college radio, I would open for Speed at the clubs. Speed would headline, and then I would close. So one of the first clubs we really did was called Custom. I don't know if you remember Custom, if that was before your time too.
No.
Okay, so I feel so
bad. But I love it because I want to know, like, okay, so Custom, where was it? What is it now? What building is it now?
Custom is not, I don't think it's anything now. I think it's an animal hospital.
Okay.
So,
is it right there on Grand and LaSalle? Is it
No, it was Clybourne and Armitage.
Okay.
So so this was like in an era of 2000 and 2001, right? I think that's the right timing. So in this day, it's all dance music at the clubs. It's in like, so this is like celebrity like kind of club. Like Justin Timberlake and Britney Spears could come to this club. Like, so this was predominantly, let's say predominantly white, but like obviously it was diverse, but that's like the main kind of crowd that's there, right? So you bring in somebody like DJ Speed and myself, and Speed is known on the radio for hip hop, right? And everywhere in these, let's just call them celebrity clubs, right? So in these celebrity clubs, it's all dance music. It's all Euro, it's progressive, it's house music, it's all of these things, right? But it's rarely ever hip hop. So then Speed and I come in and we do all of that, but then we introduce hip hop. But we're introducing it in a way where the guys that are mostly in these clubs are all dance music guys. So when they play hip hop, it's like, 3.5 minutes long, break over break, like you're mixing house music, right? But we come in the hip hop style and turntablism kind of style of scratching and doing these things, and we're playing hip hop. Let's say in an hour span, it's like 50 minutes dance music, 10 minutes hip hop. But we're playing Hypnotize, we're playing like all of these things, and people were the promoters and stuff. They're like I don't know about hip hop. Like, yo, trust us, we're gonna do it. And then that ends up being like one of the most popular moments of the hour is this breakup of the 4 to the floor of the dance music. And then you're hearing Hypnotize and like stuff that's starting to get on the radio. And then we transition back up to, Zombie Nation or Benny Benassi Satisfaction, when those are brand new records. Like nobody had ever heard Satisfaction before. And all of a sudden, what the hell is this Atari sounding vocal? And like, so this having all this mix, so then it eventually starts becoming 40 minutes dance, 20 minutes hip hop, and then 30. And then like people from some of these other clubs are seeing what we're doing and like, oh my God, hip hop works. Like, they were so, I hate it to be racist, but they were so worried about the bad element that like, dude, music is universal. Like we could play this and people will have a good time. It's fine. Like, don't worry. This is all good. and they really saw like how we were doing something different, and we were sold out like every night. Bottle, like I said, celebrities would be coming in. Billy Corgan from Smashing Pumpkins was hanging out. I don't know if you remember Man Cow. Like he'd be there all the time. Like
he's still a good Twitter follow.
Yeah. So like he would be at Custom. So this was around the time Custom. Do you remember White Star?
I know the name for sure.
So White Star, these were like still. So Custom would like close at 2, and then everyone would go to White Star. That was like.
And where was White Star?
White Star, it's Entourage. Or not Entourage. Ontario, next to where Entourage was.
Right. So yeah, Al's Beef. Al's Beef isn't there anymore. Yeah, but so its fame is in the old Entourage building is Fame, and then it was next to that. Yeah. Right? Shouts to Long Drink for sponsoring the podcast. Absolutely the best cocktail you can get out there. That's exactly what it is. A cocktail in a can. It's not a seltzer, as you can tell. It's not one of those stupid, long, skinny cans that makes you look like an idiot stick when you're drinking it. This is good stuff. Anyone I give one of these to ask me what it is, where they can get it, and why they haven't had it before. I'm putting people on. You guys are next. Thank you for watching. Enjoy the program. Go to your local liquor store. Target's got them. Wherever you can. Grab a long drink today. Enjoy. Watch the pod. Let's get back to it. Thank you. Okay.
So White Star was the spot too. So that was like Pamela Anderson would be there, and like Wesley Snipes would be there. Like anytime there were celebrities, these were the clubs that Speed and I were playing at. Yeah. Like these were the high end, like a Tao now, I guess. Yeah. But our format was super dance music. But then now we're introducing like the hip hops and like stuff like that. But it's crazy how that transition really, really happened. Now, me and Speed started doing the after hours at there, and like just seeing all these other DJs starting to play hip hop and trying to follow that trend that we can't really definitively say this, but Speed and I really help introduce hip hop in these kind of clubs in Chicago.
Right. To a dance market. There's obviously like in Chicago, and I think every market has like their mainstream nightclubs, and then there's like the urban nightclubs. And there's like the urban DJs, and then there's like the other DJs, and they mix and mingle for sure. Yeah. But there's definitely two different worlds, really.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So for us, if you think about it, we're open format at that point when there was no name for open format.
Yeah.
Because we're playing freestyle, we're playing house, Euro, and hip hop, and pop, and doing, being on radio, we know what's happening in radio, like, oh, these are going to be the songs. And then also having that radio connection, labels would hit us up, where you're spinning at, oh, we're here. So then the artist would come to where we're at too.
Yeah.
So this is all early 2000s, and such a amazing time for nightclubs, because people would go and dance and really know songs, sing along. And if they didn't know the song, they want to know what the fuck that was. Like, yo, what is that song you just played? I gotta know. That was breaking music was such a big part of these clubs too, because not only are you playing the big popular songs, you're also getting away with introducing Paul Johnson, Get Down, and Ann Lee 2 times, random Erica Relations, and all these Euro songs that became huge records. That's what is that? You play it all the time. I gotta know. That was such an amazing moment, that when you're looking at your crates, I can't wait to play this song. They've never heard it, so I'm gonna see how they react. And then you see them, they're like, what is, okay, they did get into, they did get that stank face.
That's drugs right there.
Yeah.
That's drugs for DJs, for
absolutely.
sure. Giving somebody something they don't know and watching them accept it, and just watching their face and their body language come to, and they're like, I don't know this, but I like this.
Yes. This is such a huge part of my DJing. When I during that time, I would try to find stuff that would I know exactly where I'm going to play. I'm going to play that right after this song. It'll flow perfectly, and then I could throw this acapella on top of it, and then I could do this. And I was doing that on vinyl. So I was turning, every time I'd get to the spot, I'd turn it from regular to battle style.
Right, the turntable,
and what are you doing? That's not how it goes. Well, that's kind of how we play it. So, playing the turntables battle style at these dance clubs, they look at me as what are you doing?
Yeah.
But so from that, from me working with Speed, because Speed's the one who got me into these places. So like I said, I would open, he would headline, and then eventually people would really see me more, because his headline set would be half hour, 45 minutes, sometimes an hour. But they see me through the whole night, and they're seeing what I'm doing and killing it. So there's these promoters, they're like, what the hell's going on at Custom? And why is everyone losing their shit about it? And then when they see me, oh, this Flipside guy is let's get him at our club. So then from there, I started branching off, and I would work with Speed, and then I'd close somewhere else. So I started closing at a place called Glow, and that's on North Avenue in Clybourne, and now it's the Hustler store. Hustler, the Playboy Hustler.
Yeah. There's a Hustler store on North and Clybourne?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
So that used to be Glow.
Okay.
So that was after hour spot. So I would DJ hip hop in the VIP, and then they'd have European or dance music on the main floor. But then the VIP is where everyone wanted to be, because it's VIP, right?
Yeah.
So then I'm up there playing hip hop and shit. So we had DJ Danny Boy would be on the main floor. Gus
Carras, Terrace. I don't even know the correct way, but whichever one.
Yep. So he'd be downstairs too.
I want to get him on here.
Yeah. So he was always a big part of all these spots. But yeah, shout out to Gus as well. And so they would do like the dance music downstairs. I'd be upstairs, so I'd be playing just hip hop up there, and it'd be so much fun. And you know, since that's all hip hop now, and that's the early 2000s, that's In the Club, 50 Cent In the Club is brand new record, and like that's that era. So crazy. So Wednesday night became an urban night, but I was only playing Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And then the promoter on Wednesday night came in on one of the off nights. I'm like, who the fuck is this guy playing hip hop? And he's like, you need to come in on Wednesday too, bro. I'm like, okay, sure, let's do it. So I end up doing the urban night on Wednesday, and Wayne Williams would open up for me. And Wayne Williams, he'd play house. So if you're not familiar with Wayne Williams, he's one of the originate, like he's part of like the birth of house music, like in that whole, he's one of the chosen few DJs.
Yeah.
So he'd play house music. He's like super integral part of Chicago, like culture and house music and everything like that. But then they're all waiting for hip hop. So when I come in, first thing they would do is like, who the fuck is this Asian kid coming in with these records?
Yeah. What does he think he's about to do in
here? By the time I'm done, like, that's my boy. Like, they're all giving me props. So then they would always come because they liked that I was playing current hip hop, but I knew my history. So I'd be playing old stuff too, and flying through my records the way that, you know, Speed and I would do it, and where we would mix records, but we'd also slam certain records. So like there was that artistry of DJing and mixing like Chicago, but still like having the scratching and knowing which song to slam, you know?
Yeah.
There's some songs that I'll never mix. I'm only going to slam. Like,
say it louder for people in the back, because now that everything has an intro edit on it,
yeah,
I think people get lost in that and don't even realize that the original tracks of some tracks, even though they're not mixable, like with a 16 bar blend,
yeah,
you slam it, and that's how you get the most energy out of that record.
Yeah, for instance, like Nothing But a G Thing, I'm never gonna mix that. Like, I'm just gonna slam that, because once that boom boom, like everyone hears it, they know what that is. You don't have to mix that record. Next episode, I don't have to mix that record. I just play, you know, Hold Up, and then boom, wait,
yeah.
Murder She Wrote. I'll never mix Murder She Wrote. Just drop it, and then they always react on that first dun, dun, dun. They know exactly what it is right when it stops. So there's certain records that have the power that you don't need to mix.
Yeah.
And then other records, if you know, like, it's always about programming. You know, that's what we say as a DJ, is that, you know, we talk about like mixed in key and doing all these other things. Program is always going to be king, but key can change how you're going to mix something, you know, like, oh, these are in key. Okay, maybe I'll actually blend it a little bit differently. But I think programming and knowing what song to play is actually more important than that, unless it's a mashup. If it's a mashup, it absolutely has to be in key. And that's because it's just going to hurt somebody's insides without them really knowing why.
Yeah.
Right? Like, they'll hear two different things going on, and they'll sing along, but something's going to be off, but they don't know what it is, and it just kind of hurts. So if you have a mashup, that absolutely has to be in key. But if you're just mixing two songs together, programming is king. I think that's really important.
I think that's a pretty golden rule.
Yeah.
Now let me throw some questions at you real quick.
Yeah, I'm saying there's like I could talk forever. I'm sorry.
A couple questions and a couple thoughts. My first thought is the way that you said that Speed would introduce you to the people that were giving out the promo copies of records.
Yeah.
And say like, hey, this is Flipside. He's really dope. He's the next one up.
Yeah.
That's like so important to me, because I was introduced to people that way by Architect.
Yeah.
All the time. You know, we'd go somewhere and there'd be a manager of a place or an owner, whoever it was, a promoter, and he'd always shake up with them. He knows them. I'm with him. He'd be like, yo, this is Strategy. Super dope DJ. He's next in line or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
And like, that's huge for somebody.
Absolutely.
The smallest thing, this guy's literally saying 5 words, however many words it is that he's telling this other person, taking 4 seconds to just introduce me, but those words weigh so much. They mean so much, and they've done so much for me over my career. And I feel like that's a part of the DJ community. That's a thing, right?
Yeah.
Like you do that for somebody because it was done for you.
It should be a thing, and it should always be, supportive of your friends and supportive of DJs. And I feel like it's not always a thing, because you'll be with someone and they'll like not introduce you, but they'll big up themselves the whole time, and then not be like, oh yeah, this is Flipside, but I always feel like when I'm with somebody and someone comes through, oh yeah, this is XYZ, he's fucking, this is Heavy. You don't know Heavy? Oh, Heavy's killing shit.
Yeah.
Like, you should, he's doing XYZ, blah, 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 blah. You should get get his number, follow him, blah, blah, blah. Like, you're just always been kind of that, any chance that I get that I can help somebody that I believe in too, I'm going all in for, like Heavy's one of these guys too, like where Heavy's so fucking dope, right? Like DJ Metro, so fucking dope. Like I helped, I mean, Metro's dope even before me helping, but like I would always say, yo, you need to know Metro. Metro is like one of the best DJs in Chicago, that in case you didn't know who he is, check out his video, check out his Instagram, check out all the other things. And, there's people that across the country might not know, but having the relationship that I have with that person, they'll understand my cosign actually means something for them.
Yeah.
So, I try to, I agree. All like having Speed introduce me and like let them, because Speed was king shit back then. Like everyone on the radio appreciated him, or like in the record industry appreciated him, because his mixes were 23 minutes, right? But he would play 3 times a night on Friday and 3 times a night on Saturday. So if he put his song in one of his mixes, you get 6 spins on a radio station, like on the weekend. So what that means is if a song gets 6 plays on a radio station, it looks like it's been added to the radio station. So when you get 6 plays, other radio stations see, oh, that's that they're playing, they added that. What is that? So it actually influences other radio stations when they're looking at the metrics, and they'll be like, what is this song that they're playing over here 6 times? Like it really makes a difference. So I mean, actually, I have another story about spins, but like that, being on the radio was like Speed actually helped me be on B96 too. So he was the one, because I was killing the clubs, doing my thing, and then there was a spot, they're like, hey, we need to add another hip-hop guy, because we have all these dance guys. We have Speed playing hip-hop, we have Dan Morel was playing hip-hop at the time, and then Julian Jumpin' Perez started playing hip-hop too. Like hip-hop is blowing up, we need to add another hip-hop guy. And because all the mix masters that were on the station at the time, they knew who I was because I was playing with Speed for so long. Like, yeah, dude, we got to get Flipside. Flipside's the guy. So then they added me on B96 in March of 2003. And that was the first time I got on the radio. Big shout out to Eric Bradley and Ty Kavanaugh for giving me that opportunity to be on that radio. And I'm like, man, the first CD mix I gave him, I'm playing all these hip hop records, and then I gave him a playlist, and it's like Maya, Case of the X, or like whatever the thing, and then he's looking at the play, he's like, Talib Kweli, Get By. What's that? I'm like, oh, that's a good record.
Good
we gotta play that one. And he's like, okay. So like, it's just like I was able to really take the opportunity to play records like that as well too, as not just in that time, because it's weekend, so we have a little bit more freedom on the weekends, and doing that and playing breaking records, and along with playing stuff that's just a little bit out of rotation that we're not playing in rotation. So Speed really helped me get on that radio. And then doing that, we started doing eventually we started doing the 10 o'clock mixtape, where it's DJ Speed, Dan Morel, and myself, and we were on Monday through Friday at 10 p.m. and we just submit an hour-long mix. And back in those days, we'd have to burn it to a CD, go to the radio station and drop it off. And that's how we would like actually turn in our mixes. It wasn't like uploading away from that would take forever. And it would take like an hour to burn the CD. So then if the CD failed, you're like, oh, I gotta reburn it.
Yeah, you gotta test it in the car on the way over.
Yeah, CDs would skip like on the air. Like, oh, that was I don't miss that part of the time. But yeah, so then we had that. So we were, you'd have mix show as such a predominant part of radio, from the weekends to now during the week, that eventually Styles and Roman, they were doing the night show. So that's how we got the 10 o'clock mixtape on, because of Styles and Roman. Shout out to Styles and Roman. And they got moved to afternoons. And that's kind of where Flipside of 5 kind of came from. So we would do the car show live, and I would DJ at the Chicago Auto Show, like in February or whatever. And then they were like, we got to have a DJ live at 5 o'clock and do like Flip, we got to have you. So like, let's just do Fridays. Let's do Flipside Fridays. And shout out to Michael Beamalt from B96, who like said, hey, let's go for it. Let's do this. Let's brand this. So then they put me Flipside at 5. So I would play kind of like current, but a lot of some old stuff. So you like Salt and Pepper, Push It. But then I'd throw in, Brighter Days and Percolator and stuff like that. So because the Chicago in us, right?
Yeah.
But then I'd have some current stuff in there. But it was something totally different than what people would hear at 5 o'clock. And that was just turning that in. And then eventually I was live at 5 o'clock on Friday and doing it live and playing Stardust and, Daft Punk and like all these other things. And then it did so well. Like they're like, phone lines were erupted. We were getting text messages to the station at that time too. So text messages like, this Flipside's awesome, blah, 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 blah. Where my boss, Michael Beamo, comes and is like, hey, so what's it going to take to have you here every day? I'm like, yo, let's talk about it. Let's make, so then we worked out our details. And then I started DJing Monday through Friday, doing Flipside at 5. The first DJ in Chicago history to be live at 5 o'clock on the radio.
Really?
As told to me.
Okay.
So from what I've been told, that is the truth. That's my his part of history.
That's huge.
Is that I'm the first to be live at 5 o'clock Monday through Friday.
That's crazy.
So,
do you know if any other markets were doing it?
Yeah.
There was other
New York
markets.
was doing that.
Okay, New York was doing
but like
it. Okay.
not in Chicago.
Right.
We weren't doing that in Chicago.
That's crazy to be
New
the
York
first.
radio stations, they're like live all the time. There's DJs that are doing live like Funk Flex and like all these guys. So I give them a lot of credit for being able to do that. And but again, doing Flipside of 5 in Chicago, it's different because we're mixing records. Like I'm doing acapellas, I'm doing all of the things and all the turntablist stuff on live radio. Like who does that? And it's crazy to think, I'm playing for 3 million people, 4 million people potentially, doing turntablism to a point where it's edible for the modern audience, like who don't understand what it is. But if I'm not doing like crab, scratch, crab, it's like, a juggle that they can follow. Like Rob Bass, hit it, doom, hit it, doom, like ease them into it, and finding that balance of being creative and doing that live on radio. And then maybe, I don't know if it was 2 weeks after I was doing Flipside of 5, that's when Timbuktu started doing GCI live on 5 o'clock.
The Rush Hour mix.
Yeah. So like big shout out to Timbuktu, rest in peace.
R.I.P.
Like he was super duper dope at 5 o'clock too. So we actually became friends, and like we talked to each other. And what I really loved about Tim was like that he respected me for what I do, even like it's different than what he does, but he respected my skills and my talent and my brain. And like we traded hard drives. Like I gave him a bunch of music, he gave me a bunch of music. Like I still have a folder in my Serato that's a Timbuktu folder. That's where awesome. I play stuff off of that because of his acceptance of me, like being an Asian guy, but still being able to play hip hop and respectfully, you know. And like I loved that I got to have a great relationship with him. And I remember a story about Tim. We were at a place called Rhino at the time. I think it was on Orleans and
Erie, I think.
Yes,
or Huron.
One of those two, right? And Tim came to watch me play it at Rhino, one of the after hour spots, and I'm playing on Serato, and I'm playing in relative mode, and he's like, how are you DJing without bringing the needle back every time? I'm like, bro, it's relative mode. You don't like. He's like, what's relative mode? I'm like, oh. He was like, are you telling me you've been playing absolute mode the whole time? He's like, yeah. I didn't know that there was something different. I'm like, yeah, well, relative mode is this. And then I explained. He's like, mind blown. He's like, that changes everything. I'm like, yeah, records don't skip in relative mode, bro. Like, he's like, oh my God. Like, he like went home like and like started playing around with it. I'm like, dude, like I love that. Like, that's one of my favorite memories of us together. And but yeah, like it was really, really, really cool to have that relationship with him and us being on at the same time and never talk shit about each other and be like, you know, it was like, yo, fuck Flipside, he's at 5 o'clock, I'm in my slot. You know, it wasn't like that at all. Like, it was pure mutual respect for people who love what they're doing and are trying to bring turntablism and DJing to the forefront of a popular audience, you know, of radio. It's radio, right? You know, people don't always get to hear this stuff, but we find our ways to do it tastefully that the average listener can listen to. So that's like how like that radio part kind of started, you know. And then I did that until 2016, maybe 2017, 8. Yeah, I did it for that started in 2007. So it was 2018 when I finished. So I did it for 11 years. So that was crazy. So when we first started, it was like, you go, you curate, you make the fucking mix. So like, I'm playing everything from old school Busta Rhymes. I'm playing, you know, like Put Your Hands on My Eyes Can See. I'm playing Rihanna Umbrella because that was a brand new song at the time. So then I'm finding ways to play rotational music, but I'm also throwing it back, playing like I would at a club, where you're kind of, when you're doing hip hop, when you're flying through one verse, one chorus, like just kind of going through stuff. And, you know, this is where the phone lines are blowing up. The text messages are blowing. My MySpace is blowing up. You know, like, yo, that mix today was awesome, blah, 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 blah. And like, so like that was like really, really interesting. And then my bosses were like, hey, do you think you could play a little more rotational music and not so much throwbacks? And I'm like, yeah, I can. Yeah. I mean, but it like I'm like in the club, the older stuff really still works, and like, you know, us having the ear to the club, like I know this record still works, so like I can still play it. So it's like, yeah, but we're kind of, you know, we want to push the new music and this stuff. I'm like, okay, I get it. So then like they'll give me 4 songs, play these 4 songs in the hour that you're playing. I'm like, all right, cool. So I play like one verse, one chorus, and then be out. And then like the next meeting, they're like, hey, can you play those songs like the whole way through? I'm like, yeah, I can. So then I'd be flying through records, really long song. Yeah. Flying through records, really long song. And then like, okay, we're gonna give you some more records to play for that you got to play a little bit longer. I'm like,
you give them an inch and they take a mile.
So then now, and then this is like around LMFAO is starting to blow up, right? So now the whole EDM bubble is happening. So
wait, hold on. I don't want to cut you off, but before we get too far, because we're cruising.
Yeah.
And I want you to bookmark the EDM bubble and LMFAO.
Yeah.
But I had Lee Michaels in here last week, and he was telling me all about the Mixmaster Throwdown.
Yes.
So when you were telling me about going to DeVry and like going to U of I, coming back, sleeping in your car, was that's the Mixmaster?
That was part of it as well. That was I totally. There was a club in Schaumburg called Dakotas, and that was Tuesday night. So I'm sure Lee talked about that too.
Yeah.
That was insane. Like people from the city would come to the burbs and hang out with us, and it would be, you know, Lee would be there, Speed, Dan, and myself, and then a bunch of other DJs, Jimbo, you know, George May, like Adolfo Martinez, like we'd have all this whole crew, Liam, like all these guys that were there, and we would DJ, and then those young guys would you know, they'd promote and like bring all these people in here, and you'd walk in there and there'd be all of these like really like good looking girls that are there, and then suburban guys just like coming in and like hanging out, and those parties were so insane. Like I can't, and so that was just in Schaumburg, but then we would also do the college club tour where we would do that stuff where we do all the different clubs, but then we took it to spring break and then do Cancun and like did all these other things, and we partnered up with a college promotional company. I can't remember the name of it right now, but then we would take these parties and then do them during spring break. So I DJ'd at the City in Cancun when it was brand new, and like that was a little bit interesting because we would spin like we would do in Chicago. So like songs like Toya Toing were new and huge in Chicago, like R. Kelly, but then they had no idea what that was. So then we had to like kind of change a little bit to a more national like sound. Like, you know, I'm not playing Brighter Days in Cancun, but we're playing Usher, and like Black Eyed Peas, and like, you know, all of these like 50 Cent, you know, Disco Inferno at that point, and like all those other things, but really hounding in on what that sound is, and then bringing it up and playing electro and like David Guetta, like early David Guetta, Love Is Gone, and like stuff like that. Those records, The World Is Mine, like The World Is Mine was such a huge record. I remember like in that whole era, and like you tell people, you know, David Guetta, The World Is Mine, they have no idea what that is right now. Like they would not even remember what that is. But at that time, that was one of the biggest records in the world, in like in spring break. And so I remember how big that was. But yeah, that was part of that era.
Okay, so when you were doing that, you were already on the radio part. If you're on the B96 radio, that makes you a mix master, right?
Correct.
Is that how you get that title?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were a mix master at that point.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. As of 2003, I was a mix master.
Okay.
So, that was the goal that I achieved. Then I was like, you know, after that, you know, what's the next goal, you know? And, you know, I want to make music. So, you know, let's go back to Flipside of 5. EDM's starting to blow up. LMFAO was blowing up. And one of the guys in the Styles of Roman show, his name is Roman. He actually had his own music career. And he had like a ballad called Eyes Closed So Tight. And it was like huge. He was like in a boy band at one point. But like he was kind of in a record deal with Latium Records or whatever. But he was kind of like on the shelf, like trying to figure out what they were going to do. And you know, not Party Rock Anthem, you know, I'm in Miami Bitch, and the other one that was right after that came out, and he's like, yo, this stuff is pretty dope. Like I feel like you can make stuff like this. And at that point I had been making music with Tony Arzanon, who's another Chicago legend.
Shouts to Tony.
He's actually the guy that taught me about my production.
Really? I didn't know that.
So yeah, like I don't get anywhere without his help. My first official remix that I did, Tony helped me with, and it was for Diddy Last Night. But that was the first official remix that I did, that I got a check from Bad Boy, and like my name is on there, and like, you know, like that was my first official remix, and Tony helped me with that.
How did that even come about? How did you get that opportunity?
So there was a guy in Chicago. His name is Meal Ticket, and he knows
sick ass name.
Yeah, right. So he like knows everybody in the hip hop industry, right? And he was one of those guys that like came to Glow and saw me, and he was like, "Yo, dude, you fucking killing it all the time, bro." And like I'd see him at all the, you know, the record labels would have artists come through and we'd have dinner. I'd see him at all the parties or whatever. And I'm steadily trying to make beats, right? Like, in high school, I was trying to make beats. I was using Acid Pro 1.0, like chopping up sample, like chopping on my compact Presario, like computer, and like making my own Chicago hard house beats, like in early 2000s. Like nothing ever came out. I was just making them. And then when I met Meal Ticket, I was like, yo, man, I make beats. Like maybe you can hook me up with one of your artists or whatever. And then he's like, send me a beat CD. So then I gave him a CD, and he was like, oh, this is dope. And then
what was it? Was it like
hip-hop.
how it was hip hop shit?
That was hip hop.
Okay.
And then I talked to him. I was like, hey, do you have any? Let me know if there's any opportunities where I could do something. He's like, you know what? I feel like I can do something with, like, I got a good relationship with Diddy. Like, actually, no, before that, I made the remix with Tony, and I gave it to him because he knew Bad Boy people. He's like, I think I could do something with this. So then he helped connect the dots, and they listened to it like, this is perfect. Because it was like an electro remix, because electro was like, the sound at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And like I made it, and I actually started servicing it up myself to like DJs in Chicago. I was like, yo, here, take this. You're going to want to play this. This is one of the biggest hip hop records right now. Here's the version that you can play. And they were all playing it, and then eventually they started giving it to like their friends across the country, and then they were playing it in Winter Music Conference, which is a big dance music convention in Miami every March, and there were DJs all over the conference playing my remix. And like, when Meal Ticket is giving it out now, or giving it to Diddy, then he's like, yo, this is blowing up, bro. You guys need to like really do something. So then they signed it. I signed the contract, got the check, and it ended up being like, DJ Flipside and Meal Ticket remix. But like, even though he didn't really do anything except connect the dots, but I was like, hey, I'll gladly take it for the opportunity that you gave me.
Yeah, for sure. Now, like that makes so much sense to me, right? Like you made a remix of a hip hop song and brought it into this new genre, and now it's a dance song and whatever. You're playing in the clubs. It's awesome. You breathed new life into this song. So they said, oh shit, this is popping off. Let's make it official. Let's sign it. Let's do that.
Yeah.
I feel like nowadays when people make remixes that really start to pop off, the label shuts it down. They're like, get that off of SoundCloud. Get that off of here. Copyright. No, not on YouTube. This and that. They're not like, oh, this, like, people like this. Let's join up and like make it a thing.
Depends on who you're talking to.
Yeah.
Because some artists, some remixes get made, like Eccentric's remix of Wetter.
Right.
So Beyonce heard Eccentric's remix and was like, yo, this is incredible. Let's do this. So she ended up contacting him, and then she re-sang vocals of his track to be different because she liked it so much. Mm-hmm. So that's like one of those situations that they like embraced it. And I feel, and that was recent. That was within the past 2 years.
Yeah.
So that's still,
there was something about that was even bigger than it being like an official remix. Because I think it was the fact that Beyonce like put extra work into it, right? And like made it
she made it an official release.
Yeah. Not even a remix, like just a straight up release, right? Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's a Wetter remix.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I think it's over the Wetter beat from Twista.
Yeah.
But that's like one of those situations where, they embrace it. So it really, really depends on the artist too, or the label, because labels, they will find bootleg remixes and then put it into the BDS radio system. So without their knowledge, so if a DJ plays that song on the radio, it'll get credit to the original artist,
like the BMI as the payout or whatever.
No, not that. BDS is a way for radio stations to show when a song is played.
Okay.
So in order for it to detect, a song has to be played 90 seconds at the original tempo, and then once that song hits that threshold, that plus or minus 2%, I guess, in terms of the speed. But once it hits that threshold, then it counts as a spin. So when I was talking earlier about DJ Speed giving 6 spins, that's what I'm talking about, where they're seeing this is officially played. Like this song is official. This is the metric that they count on for counting charts and stuff like that. Oh, this is the number one record in the country. That's the metric that they look at, is like the BDS and the mix and the media base, the two different systems on how many times the song has been played across the country. So a number one song is a number one song because all these stations played it, and they they tabulated all the numbers. So some of these radio promoters will see, oh, the DJs are playing this remix, so then they will take it and just register it like it, so they'll get the credit, but they won't pay them for the remix. Where, you know what I mean? They're like, oh yeah,
it's a little workaround.
Yeah. Okay. So it's like, so now they're not really paying for remixes anymore because a lot of people are just doing them, and then they're just getting the scan of it anyway.
Okay.
So that's like so the remix game, like, that's when we talk about Jump Smokers. Yeah. And like, so when I was saying with Roman earlier, he said, let's start a group where you and Tony will produce the music, and then I will, I'll be like a rapper, because I feel like LMFAO is dope, but I feel like we could do that too. And then we're like, oh yeah, cool, let's try this. So then the first song that we ever made was called My Flow So Tight. And it was actually a diss record towards Chris Brown. This was around the time that Chris Brown beat up Rihanna. So the basic title, or the basic riff of the song is, my flow so tight and the beat so sick, Chris Brown should get his ass kicked. And
I still got that joint in my Serato.
Exactly. So, that was humongous. So we played it on the air. Our phone lines blew up, right? Everything blew up. So our radio boss, Todd Kavanaugh, was like, yo, I'm going to send this to all of our other affiliates across the country. And we'll say, he sent an email, like, play this song on the air and watch your phone lines blow up. And then all these other all these stations played it. And then all their phones, like, what is this? What is this? Chris Brown should get his ass kicked record, And it was incredible. It made news. It was on CNN. It was on MTV. They were talking about it on like alternate press, or like all the blogs started talking about, what is this My Flow So Tight record, and who are the Smoke Jumpers? Because at first we were the Smoke Jumpers until we realized that somebody trademarked that name. So after the song had blown up, as Smoke Jumpers were like, oh, we'll just flip it over to be Jump Smokers, and like, yeah, it's close. It's as opposed to being like, oh, instead of Smoke Jumpers, or a name that doesn't even sound close to what that was, right? So it had some kind of familiar. So Jump Smokers actually means nothing. It's just from having to flip that name from Smoke Jumpers. So
did you guys get a cease and desist from the Smoke Jumpers?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So, and it was funny. They put out a YouTube video. It was like, yo, I can't get down with what they're saying. I like the beats, but we're the Smoke Jumpers. I'm like, so like, yeah, they have their own. We can't fight that. Like, whatever. So, but I can't even imagine it being any other way at this point. Like, hearing Jump Smokers is just so. Like, so many people, when they introduced us at first, they would say, the Smoke Jumpers. Like, no, Jump Smokers. Like, oh, Jump Smoker. But like, it's so we came out with that. It blew up all over the country. It was like, all these people started like knocking on our doors, like, hey, we want you to book you at parties, we need you to play this place and this place. And like, okay, well, let's figure all this out. We worked on our name, did all this stuff, did our branding, but then at the same time, we didn't want to put our actual identities on the record, because it's like, you're saying Chris Brown should get his ass kicked, like, it's kind of like fighting words, right? Yeah. So we all came up with pseudonyms, J Roman became CW Grizz. I became V Scratch. So because I don't want to put Flipside in there, just V Scratch for Vince is my real name, and then just Scratch with a K. So V Scratch. Tony Arzadon became Radon. I think it has to do with his one of not his last name, but like his middle name or something. I forget what it, and then we had a fourth guy named Johnny Digital, or his name was Wayne Ward, but he went by Johnny Digital. And then so that's we had these pseudonyms so nobody knew who we were. We didn't put our face on the thing. We didn't do any of that. So they were like, who the fuck are these people?
Yeah.
So we ended up putting out a second record called Don't Be a Douchebag. And that was basically us making fun of like the Jersey, what's the MTV show?
Jersey Shore?
Jersey Shore, yeah. So like, you know, the spiked haircut and the tight t-shirts and like kind of making fun of those guys that you'd see at the club, the Ed Hardy and like the whole thing.
Yeah.
We kind of made a song making fun of all of them. And then that went viral at that time.
Right.
And we ended up signing with Mood Swing as our booking agents, because they came after us and like, yo, we like what you're doing. We know you're doing big things. We want to book you. We want to get you in all these clubs and do all these shows and do all these things. And so like, all right, dope. You know, so we signed with Mood Swing, and it was really great working with them, and like they really pushed to get us in a lot of different places. So we started kind of doing clubs. We were doing stuff with like Hyper Crush. You remember that
them,
group?
yeah.
And then Rocket Scientists.
Yep.
And then Inferno and like
that's that electro shit.
Yes.
That's that whole electro like era, right?
Yep. So then all of this stuff is happening, and then having our radio contacts, Roman was actually pretty close with this guy named Julian, who was the guy who discovered Pitbull. Right, so he's like, hey, I have this vocal from Pitbull and I need a beat for it. So then Tony and I took the beat, and they said, just leave the second verse blank and then use Pitbull as the verse, and you know, we'll figure out a chorus or whatever. So then we ended up making the beat, and there's a part in it where it felt like this could be the chorus. So we made that part the chorus, and he's like, shake that ass for me, come on, shake that ass for me, like that'll be the hook. That's perfect. So then that song becomes Now You See It. So there's a part where he's like, now you see it, now you don't. Pitbull heard what we did, loved it, like, who the fuck are these guys? Like, these guys are dope. And so they put a Jamaican rapper name, or I think he's Jamaican, his name is Honor Rebel. So he was the guy that was in the second verse. Roman ended up doing like a bridge that was like in between the two, and that we made. Pitbull flew us down to Miami. We shot a music video. It ended up being on MTV Jams, like in heavy rotation, and being the #1 record in the UK. Like fucking, and it got signed to Ultra Records. So that song was on Ultra. And you know, Ultra Records, with that label, like, you know, Deadmau5 was on it at one point, you know, like all these major dance people were on that record. So this was just after he did the Street Brazil record, the 1, 2, 3, 4, uno. I know you want me. I know you want me. Yeah. Kyle Ocho. So right after he did that, Ultra signed that record. So then Ultra signed that record, and then from there they also signed Now You See It, or Now You See It. So then Ultra was like, man, we like what you're doing. Maybe we should sign you as a group. So they signed Jump Smokers as a group, and we got an album deal out of Ultra Records. So during this time, one of our friends, Jay Grand, he's from at the what label was he on at the time? Fuck. Okay, well, he's like, hey, I have an artist. We want a remix. Can you do it? We're like, sure. So it was New Boys, You're a Jerk. So that was our first remix that we did as Jump Smokers. And we did that, and like, we have to pay you. I know you guys are doing it for free, but we have to pay you for it. We're like, okay, well, we'll pay just pay us whatever. They're like, so all right, we'll pay you 1 penny. So we got paid 1 penny for You're a Jerk. But then that remix got played everywhere. It bumped up the BDS spins because mix show dance guys were playing it. So then it gave them more spins. So that's why all these spins are important for these remixes, because they're giving extra spins that the radio station would never have.
Yeah.
So having the labels reach out and register our remix to them, it's giving them more of the spins.
So the spins is like the currency that these labels are after.
At the time, yes.
At the time. I was going to say, what is it now?
It's like Spotify plays.
Spotify plays,
right?
Okay.
Yeah, so because radio is not the same game. But the spins were everything. If you get a spin, you make a difference. Like they would notice, like at 5 o'clock, they see I play That's Not My Name, the Ting Tings, right?
Yeah.
I would play that song. They would go back and see, okay, Flipside played it at 5 o'clock on this date. They would look at like metrics around like sales or whatever and see that it would go up in that time. So they're seeing immediate, like, things are actually happening when I'm playing stuff. So that's actually giving me power in the radio world as well, too. So seeing that, and having our manager of the Jump Smokers was actually our music director at B96, Eric Bradley. So he's got all these relationships with artists as well. So one of his best friends is Mariah Carey. So he reached out to her. He's like, hey, our guys really like Hate You. They want to do a remix. Can we do it? So then we did a remix for her. What is it? Hate You first? No, it was Obsessed.
Obsessed.
Yeah. We did Obsessed, and Obsessed was huge. That was the record she was like kind of hitting on Eminem or whatever. But our remix did really, really well for her, that she asked us to do Hate You after that, and then she ended up adding Obsessed to her album on like our remix on the extended version of the album, like the director's cut or whatever. Like they did a re-release of it and they put our version on the album as well. So that's like
crazy, dude.
Fucking wild, man. Like I'm on a Mariah Carey album,
That's insane.
And so like all of that kind of comes to people hearing us doing these remixes. So now all the labels are starting to come to us like, yo, we need you to do a remix. Katy Perry, we need you to do a remix. Usher, we need you to do a remix. We're doing DJ Falling in Love. You got Firework, Wide Awake, like all these big. Then Pitbull comes to us and he's like, hey, can you do International Love? And we're like, yes, absolutely. We fucking love that record. And so we did it. And I don't know if you're familiar with our remix of it or not, but according to Pitbull, he tells us because of that remix, the record was just doing okay on regular rotation, but because of that remix, all the DJs were playing in mix show, that it gave it a boost. And then because everyone else saw the spins across the country of that record, they started adding it in rotation again. So according to him, our remix made that record bigger than it should have been. And what's funny is Chris Brown's on that record.
Nice.
So it's like
that's full circle.
Yeah. So but like and he was so grateful for that. And so we did more remixes for him. He loved us so much. Like, cause we loved working with him. Pitbull's one of the nicest guys in the world. He only surrounds himself with good people too. Like his staff is great. The people like around him, they're all good people. And so when he started doing a tour, he wanted to have DJs there so that whoever is playing before him, like in the intermission, they don't just sit down. Because he says when he starts, it takes them a while to warm up again before they go on. So he's like, we want you to play before us and keep the crowd energized the whole time. And then when you're done, they're already ready to go when I start. And we're like, fuck yeah. So he brought us on a 25 city tour across the North America, United States, and Canada. And we ended up doing a tour, but Justin or Roman and I were still doing B96 at the time. So we'd have to fly they said the only way we can let you go on tour, our bosses at B96, is that when you're not doing a show, you have to come home and do the show live still. And then when you do the show, the Pitbull show, you just pre-record it and handle it. So we were flying back and forth like almost every night. It was so we didn't do the tour bus life, which was actually kind of cool at the same time because we didn't have to deal with tour bus life. But then you don't get like that camaraderie of like hanging out with everyone and doing, but every time we'd come in, they'd always take care of us. And I gave them the Newmark NS7 to hold for us. So they would just bring my controller and use that, set it up, or bring it out. We would set it up, put it on a table, and then when it came out time to perform, they would roll the table out for us. But then, so like all of that kind of happens based off our relationship with Pitt, doing these remixes, and then like being, everywhere on the radio that you would hear the Jump Smokers whisper. Because it's just
Jump Smokers.
Yeah, it's just like all kind of it all came together, like because all the labels kept asking us to do remixes, and we kept doing. I'd like to say that we kept doing a pretty good job, and it was actually making a difference for mix show DJs because we were bridging the gap of EDM, but radio friendly EDM that you could play on the radio but also play in the club. Yeah. And I think that was what was the main thing because our brains worked for radio, but we also had Tony who actually was fucking EDM world. Yeah. So we were able to do all of that balance. And then, that's like how the Jump Smokers remixes started and doing all of our shows and doing all of those things. Like
that's crazy. Yeah. And the whisper, I mean, that was definitely before Mustard on the Beat, ho.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
Was there any tags back then? I feel like maybe
Neptunes,
you guys
kind of.
What they have?
Well, I mean, they had their signature 4-beat intro, and then what's his name? And then he would always have the rapper say the Neptunes in whatever rap they were saying.
Okay, but they didn't have like they didn't have the Maybach music or the Mustard on the Beat. Or Mike Will Made It.
Yeah.
Like
so, that I don't think.
Hold on, I think we got to really look into this because I want to say that you guys started that.
Maybe in the remixes, I want to say like that there was definitely somebody that was, that influenced me on that. Like I don't want to say like maybe DJ Clue or like him being on the mixtapes and like always stating his name,
right? Yeah.
But we didn't want to be that.
Yeah.
Because I remember like back in the day when you down a remix and it's just Clue talking on top of it all the time, you could never play that version.
Yeah.
So like
you accidentally play that in the club off LimeWire or something. Exactly. I mean, how many times have you done that?
Exactly, right? So we wanted it to be tasteful and it's just like that jump. So you'd hear it and you'd know it. And then I know that there was a bunch of tags after that. And I don't know, there were some people that absolutely love it. And there were people like, man, I can't play your remixes because the tag is in there all the time. So like, because I can't play Usher into Pink into Katy Perry because there's 3 Jump Smokers remixes and like there's Jump Smokers 3 in a row. Like, because we were doing everything, every major pop record from Demi Lovato to, like Pink and like all, like every major record was having us do something. So yeah, because of our relationship with radio and because of my manager's relationship with those guys, we were getting these opportunities and luckily we were delivering for them. So if we wouldn't deliver, they wouldn't bring us back.
That's a crazy parlay to use your radio status and it folds into doing the remixes and you're playing it and it's getting passed around. Is there anybody else in radio that did that? Did anybody else start producing and start doing remixes like that and stuff?
Absolutely. A lot of people were doing that. Like Q was another one, like DJ Q on the West Coast. He was doing radio. He was killing he's still killing all these remixes. But he was doing it, actually mixing Mark Stout is doing it as well. It's always been part of that culture. Like if you're doing radio mix show and you have that talent to produce, like you wanna to be able to utilize that and capitalize on that. So I wouldn't say we were first at all. There's definitely tons of people doing that, but we were major in the electro-y side of it during the bubble of being able to make stuff like Avicii and like Benny Benassi and David Guetta and Crookers at the time, and like knowing what was hot in the EDM world, but bridging that to the pop world where it makes sense for a mix show DJ specifically to play, because they can play that on the air and play it on the club.
Yeah.
And that was what was making it work, because the remixes weren't too far off from what the original sounded like, and they were tasteful, but they were still edgy. Like our Timber remix was like still pretty close, but still hard.
Yeah.
Like it still was hard as balls. And then eventually Tony moved on and wanted to focus on his solo stuff. I brought in another guy named Marquis to help me do some of this stuff, and he was
shouts to Marquis.
Yeah, he was incredible. He was really classically trained, or he is musically trained. So his notes and his chords and everything like that, because I learned everything by ear. So like I leaned on him a lot, like, is this right? He's like, yeah, that's right. Or he would just kind of riff. I'm like, ooh, that's dope. Let's do that. Or like he was really good at mixing and mastering, which is like not my forte either. Like Tony and Mark were both amazing at that. And that's like one of the worst things about my production is like the final mix and master. But like they were really, really good. And then at one point Marquis wanted to focus on his solo stuff. And then so I'm doing 100% of the music for Drum Smokers now. And we're still putting out remixes, like we're putting out original stuff, and we're trying to make more music coming in 2025 and everything like that. So that's really, really cool.
Hell yeah.
About that.
And Marquis is also a Bulls DJ, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay,
so when he was on Jump Smokers, the opportunity for the Bulls kind of came up, and I mean, we gotta talk about how all of that started.
Well, hold on. Before we get into Bulls, I have a few notes here.
Yeah. Go. Sorry,
you're good.
I feel really bad that I talk a lot but like I've been lucky in life to be able to do a lot of things, and I've seen a lot of things, and I have a lot of information. But like, I'm sorry if I'm talking too much.
No, you're not. There's no such thing. I just there's just like in my brain, I have a few questions through everything that you've been saying,
You should be together.
I imagined that you were on radio first and then went into all the nightclubs, but you were in the nightclubs with Speed first and then got onto radio.
Yeah.
When I was starting downtown, like 2015, coming up in the DJ world, whatever, downtown Chicago, it felt to me like there was a rift between like nightclubs and radio DJs. Like, I don't know why, but it felt like there was like, you didn't find a ton of people that were on the radio in the nightclubs at that time. Well, and I feel like Metro really broke that barrier.
Yeah.
He really shattered that whole thing.
Yes. Big shout out to Metro. Like part of the problem also were budgets, right? So during our heyday of doing all these nightclubs and whatever, we were getting paid a good budget because we were on radio, because we were on record pools and had songs before anybody else had them. And then eventually digitally doing CDs, the labels were sending us music before anyone else had it. So we like, hey, not only can we, give you the best music that nobody else has, we can also demand it because we have that. You can promote that you have these guys that everyone knows from being on the radio. So you should be able to clean up if you promote it right, So like there we were able to demand money, and people were seeing the value of, oh yeah, we're going to give these guys X amount of dollars and blah, 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 blah. So then when it came like later on, like, when you're talking about, they're not trying to pay DJs that kind of money. Right.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna come out if it makes sense. So if it doesn't make sense, then I'm not going to come out. If it's a party that I really, really like, then I'll work it. Then I'll work with you. We'll talk money or whatever. Or there's something other that you can, we'll work something trade. Or I need a favor. I have somebody coming in. Can we take care of this? About I'll do a set and we'll do something. We'll work it out some other way, because they never want to pay local DJs like what they deserve. So it kind of became like on that aspect of it too. So it's I'm not going to come out for $200 for 4-hour set. Like you're out of your mind. Like that's just not. I feel like I've gotten to a point where I shouldn't be doing that unless it's something that I truly believe in, where I'm going to play the fuck I want to play and you guys are going to let me do it. Yeah. And then like, let's talk, you know? But if I have to cater to, you know, what this person is paying $3,000 for a bottle for, then you're going to pay me to know what I have to do for that, you know, like, because then I'm changing what I am and whom I am and what my brand is for what you want. So you got to pay me for that, you know? So it's, I don't know. I feel like that's part of it. And what Metro was awesome about is really showcasing the fact that he's more than just a Latin DJ. He could play for everyone. And I think that's what really let him showcase his radio skills, because he knows what works on radio and what works for every demographic because of our radio skills. And we talk to labels, they talk to us all the time, whether it's a pop record or it's a R&B or hip hop record, they talk to us. So we know what's happening. We know what works. We have our history, and we've been in the game for so long that now they see like Metro like kill it because of his knowledge, and another guy will come in but not have the knowledge that he has and not have any idea what to do. So he knows he's a pro. So he knows exactly what to play. You know, okay, I don't need to play Future right now. I can play Specials Wannabe and then play another great hip hop song after that. And they'll know exactly what I'm about, you know, like kill it.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. I never thought about that there may have been like a leftover bad taste in the nightclub world's mouth, because radio DJs probably were like, no, if you're not paying me, fuck you. And they were probably like, all right, fuck you. And then like, I feel like that just sort of carried over even unknowingly. I don't know.
But it wasn't really like a fuck you. It was like, it doesn't make sense. If you can get a liquor sponsor to make it happen, I'll do it. You know, but like at the same time, it wasn't like a disrespectful thing. Right. But it was just like, if you can't pay my rate, I'm not going to lower my brand of anyone who can get me. Right. So I'd rather work on music at home and make money on a remix than doing a $200 for 8 hours, or, you know, like some of these things that they expect. So and I don't want to make it sound like arrogance, but it was just like, it's not arrogance. It's reality. It's real shit. Like, you have obviously a lot going on, and there's value to putting your name on a flyer. Yeah. And there's no way around that. You know what I'm saying? Try and get around it any way you want, but it makes sense. Like, no, I'm not going to leave my crib where I'm making music and making money and being passionate and like doing what I love for some check for you to tell me to play the Star Wars theme when this guy's bottle comes out, you know, like kick rocks. Yeah. If it makes sense, I'll do it. But it's just got to make sense. Yeah. Okay. Long Drink is a legendary Finnish favorite that's been around since the 1952 Summer Games. It's a deliciously refreshing blend of premium liquor, natural grapefruit flavor, and just the right amount of carbonation. Honestly, this is the stuff right here. White is sugar-free, blue is citrus, orange is peach, red is cranberry, black is extra strength, and they're all fire. New flavors dropping soon, so watch out for those. And they're just the best sponsor for this podcast. So the next time you're tuning in, make sure you crack open a Long Drink, enjoy one while you're watching the show, because good vibes deserve great drinks. Let's go, champ. We're back to the episode. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time. Sorry. No worries. We're running late. I'm having too much fun. This is I'm sorry. You know, it's part of my fault because I have a lot of stories and they're all long. When you ask such a simple question of how did you start and how did you get on the radio, there's on the remixes. I've been lucky to do a lot of things. So this legit needs to be a 4-hour podcast, and I don't even know if that would do it justice. You know what I'm saying? And I appreciate you having me on and everything like that. No, bro, so like, you got to come back. You definitely got to come back. I mean, there's still definitely things that we haven't talked about, like even being on tour worldwide and like some of the things that happened on tour, like the stories. Like that's a whole nother thing. I need all of that. All right, so we're chopping it up. We got to get to the Bulls. You've taken over the world. You've done a remix for every single artist. You're on a Mariah Carey album. You're traveling the states with Pitbull, North America, all that, doing everything. Played every nightclub in the city. They can't even pay you enough money anymore.
Chicago Bulls.
Okay, so again, Eric Bradley, who was my music director at B96, he was actually doing the music at the Chicago Bulls, and it was the 2012 season. The Chicago Bulls brought in somebody. Her name is Michelle McComas, and she came from the Knicks. She's from Chicago, born and raised Chicago, but she actually worked at the Knicks for a while, and they brought her in to be the entertainment director of the Bulls. And she was talking to Eric and like, I want to bring in DJs. Like, who do you think? And so Eric Bradley was like, you got to bring Flipside, number one by far. She's like, well, Flipside, I know Flipside. It's like, I remember him from the B-Bashes and like, doing all those things. And she's like, yeah, I think you should bring in Flipside and Metro. And she's like, oh yeah, good idea. And then Eric asked me, he's like, yeah, you think Metro is good too, right? I'm like, yeah, I think we should bring Marquis too. Because at the time, Marquis was in Jump Smokers with me. And I'm trying to get him all the opportunities that he can get. And I know he's a dope DJ. He's really, really talented, that he can handle that. And he has like the music know-how too of what we want to do, that I think he'd be perfect. So Michelle came to B96 and met all three of us in the conference room. And I'm like, yeah, this is what we want to do. And then he's like, okay, cool. You guys are great. Let's do it. So then they hired us three for the first year. And they laid us out like, okay, this is how we want to do things. We want to do, this is what a game looks like. This is what you would be doing. And we watched like a game. And then first thing, I called out like all this shit. Like, okay, first off, if this person is talking, there should not be music with words on it right now. Like, that there's a clash. There's a thing in radio we call beds. You never talk on top of another person. You talk over a bed, which is essentially an instrumental. Mm-hmm. So anytime that there are people talking, we need a bed. She's like, oh, okay, beds. Okay, so like we started integrating like radio things into how the game flow is actually being presented. But Michelle like really, really is the force of that Bulls entertainment, where she really drives all of these entertainment things that happen. Like, I'm so glad you kind of got to see the game, this past weekend.
Yeah, thank you for having me. That was awesome.
Yeah, so the first year it was just us three, and then the following year we added J-Funk, because between the three of us, we had just started doing like I started just doing the Pitbull tour. So like we need another guy. Like we can't fill all these dates. Metro was starting to tour now too. So we bring in J-Funk, we do all of these things, and then I talked to Michelle and I'm like, hey, I do mixes too. Like I can do the dance team's edits and stuff like that. And she's like, oh, cool. All right, let's do it. So then like I started doing like our Halloween like performance, like a major Halloween performance. I started doing all the Lovables dance teams, the seniors, 312 crew. We added 312 crew later because they weren't existing, and then like they eventually became like the guys team instead of the Lovables. Ironically, this year we have a really dope girl who's on 312 crew, who's like a B girl, and like she's really dope. But yeah, so then I started doing music for that, and then I can't remember what year. Michelle's like, we want to do a holiday card, and we're gonna shoot it all like one shot, and we need Christmas music for it. I'm like, well, can we do it like my way? Like, can we just remix it? And she's like, oh yeah, let's do it. That's one of the things I love about Michelle. You give her an idea and she'll be like, she's open to it, and she'll tell you why she likes it or why she doesn't like it, and she's like, oh, I love that. So then I took Christmas music like from the Nutcracker and like gave it like drum beats and stuff like that, and then I put the Jump Smokers Whisper in there. So we did this video, and it was one continuous shot, and it was really cool. It's on the court. It was like a really, really dope video that ended up winning an Emmy. I'm like, this is awesome. Like, but so technically, like our team won an Emmy, right? So like my name wasn't on it or anything like that, even though I did the music, I was in the video and all that. And so I'm like, oh, that's so cool. We got an Emmy. That's great. But then like even more and more, we started doing more original music, original videos, and then we're winning more awards for like the Image Matrix Award is like best entertainment in the NBA, and like best best video for something like our did you see the video with Common coming from the Shy? We won an award for that, for the best short video.
That's
and
awesome.
That video, we got nominated for another Emmy for a song that Marquis and I did called Ready with King Marie. And the interesting story about that was, we at the beginning of every game we do like an entertainment open where they get to see who's our entertainment team, and it's kind of but a fun way to do it.
Yeah,
we did it to Dua Lipa Levitating, and I took the original, chopped it up, and then I made it transition up to Don Diablo's remix, and we like talked to Dua Lipa's people and was like, yeah, we want to do this video, we need to clear it and get all the licensing so we can play it all the time and blah 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 blah. Like, oh, yeah, you're good to go. Like, cool. So we shot the video, put it all together, and then Dua Lipa's people called like, hey, one of the writers isn't approving it, so you can't use it anymore. Like, oh. So what do we do now? So we ended up, Marquis and I created a song that was similar to Levitating, but we had the music video already shot, so we just kind of did everything same way, BPM, transitioned up. Yeah. And then we had King Marie and then a bunch of other people write lyrics to the video that we're watching, and that became the song Ready. And then that actually got nominated for an Emmy too. Unfortunately, it didn't win.
That's so cool though.
But then so that was really, really cool. Like, Michelle's given us great opportunities to not only just DJ and be a part of this whole thing, but to add value with our talents. And then what we did last year, we did a hip hop tribute to our 50 years of hip hop tribute. We had Sugar Hill Gang came out and we performed. We honored the elements of hip hop, breakdancing, DJing, graffiti, MCing, and then the fifth element is knowledge, apparently. And so we added that. We did a thing. We had them perform, and while they were there, we did something called the Locker Room Live, and we shot Sugar Hill Gang performing an acoustic version of Rapper's Delight that Marquis and I made. So it's sick. Like custom made. It sounds like a tiny desk, essentially.
Yeah.
So we did that, and it got nominated for an Emmy. My name is on that one, and I brought today.
Oh shoot!
The actual Emmy that we won.
Nice.
So I know you've been looking at this box and being like, what's in the box? What's in the box?
We got an Emmy in the building, boy.
So here is...
This is a party with strategy first.
Yes. So this is the actual Emmy.
Dang.
That we have. This is the same kind of Emmy that Jennifer Aniston has. Like primetime Emmys. These are still the same Emmy that they get. So because my name was actually on it, they gave me one, where the last one that I won, my name wasn't on it, so I couldn't get one. I'd get a certificate. But this is like an Emmy that I share with the team, but my name is on it. So Mark has one, Michelle has one. We have a lot of the editors like Bulls TV who edited and put it together crazy. The video was amazing, and like for us to actually have an Emmy is like insane.
That's so cool,
here,
dude.
Let me let you hold it, because this will be the first time you've ever had.
Let me get my hands on that Emmy. Yeah, I don't want to drop it.
Yeah.
Dang. DJ Flipside, Vince, DJ Flipside Garcia, baby. Let's go, champ. That's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
And that goes to like, thank you.
No, thank you.
It goes to the incredible staff that we have at the Bulls that really allows us to showcase our talents. And the thing I like about Michelle is she says, I hire experts so that I don't have to be an expert. So if you say something is good, then I'm going to believe you. And that is an incredible thing for a boss to have for you, like to have that trust. And so she lets us as DJs not be told what to do, just give us an idea of, this is the feeling that we want. You make that feeling happen, with your choice of music and how you deliver it to our fans.
Yeah.
And we have all of these. Hold on, I don't want to break this.
Yeah. No. Focus. Take your time for sure.
Is it this way? Was it this way? Or the other way? The other way.
It is so dope, dude. I mean, like to be a DJ, and then obviously you've done all the producing and you got Jump Smokers and all that. To then also be able to go into a world where you're adding visuals to it and they're giving you free creative reign, and you have this woman that believes in you so much and gives you the ability to think outside the box and add your own flavor to things, like that's really a dream come true.
Yeah. And that's why it's been incredible to work with her and be a part of the Bulls. And we have our 4 official DJs, with myself, Metro, J Funk, and Marquis, and they trust us to really curate the soundtrack. So you went to the game, you saw when you walk in, it's all player hip hop because the players are on the court. It feels kind of weird because it's like the trappiest and like drill and like, but we have to edit out all the gun references, all the gang references, and like all the incredible or like the incredibly bad things that are in there.
Yeah.
So it's really, really weird when you're looking at like a 5-year-old in there and you're hearing like, the bad, like the most hood shit. So it's like, I can't wait for the players to get off the floor in that moment. And then so I can just lighten it up a little bit, and play something poppy. But man, we've been so lucky to be DJing on the floor, like during the warm-ups too.
So
because now I get interaction. Like Vooch likes Pacific music. Like he wants French, like this French rapper that he really likes named Boba. He likes that when he walks in and he's warming up, he wants that music like automatically. So like there's really, really cool. And then I've been able to get a relationship with Kobe White. And like, so he'll see me DJ and he'll be like, give me a pound. Yo, what's up, man? Happy holidays, whatever. And like, that's like everything to me, like to know that they're paying attention and really noticing how much music really translates the mood for the players and the audience.
Yeah.
Like while you were there, what was your take on your experience of like walking through?
Man, I don't go to a lot of sporting events. I don't go to a lot of like any events with a lot of people and you got to wait in line and there's tickets and like there's just something in my brain that's like it's too much and I got to work at 10 and what if I get stuck there and like it's like neurotic Jew shit.
Yeah.
That's my own thing. That's my own thing. But yeah, when you hit me up and you were like, yo, come to the game, I got tickets, and my girl had like something to do. I was like, she's got something to do, and you were like, you should do it. It'll be good research for the pod. And I was like, he's right. Yeah. Let me fucking go to the game. Doesn't matter if I got to go to work after, whatever. Yeah. So I'm incredibly glad that you doubled down and forced me to do it. No, not at all. Not at all. I need that to be a better human. Yeah. So thank you for that. Yeah. It was amazing, bro. The production, the level of thought that goes into it, everything is timed out. They show the control room and they got this guy hosting and he's running around and it goes to you and you're DJing and you're juggling. Yeah. And then the Lovables are wheeling stuff onto the court and they're setting things up. Like there's always something happening and it's curated so nicely for the audience. Yeah. So I had so much respect for that, and it was really cool. Yeah, I think what's really great is that basketball is the most important thing. But when there's no basketball happening, our job is to really entertain. And there are people that come to the game that aren't necessarily there for the basketball because my partner really likes basketball, but I'm just here to support what they like. Yeah. So having this whole other entertainment side with the contests and with the the talent of the Lovables and all the other dance teams that we have and the Bucket Boys that we had that day, and the halftime show was kind of crazy. I don't know if you got to see the halftime show. The official Remedy. Yeah. The live band that like did like mashups and like live stuff. That was actually the first time I've seen them do a halftime. Sometimes
we do a halftime on the court, but this was different because of live band. It takes a lot to set up and EQ and do all the things. But they kind of killed it. But then I don't know if you noticed in the game we had a drone that was flying around for certain moments, and like during some of the timeouts, it would start at on the court, and then it would fly up, and then it would come up to see me where I'm DJing.
Yep.
Like it was really, really. That's not something we do every game, but like it was something that was really, really special for this game that we have, and we are really trying to do a lot of things to move the entertainment forward. Like you don't have to play YMCA.
Yeah.
You can play a lot of other things. Like to that particular day was a Chicago City edition, so we are really putting our foot forward on Chicago stuff. So I was playing juke, I played like old school Chicago house for like a contest, I do all these other things. I played Fall Out Boy, and trying to make all these other Chicago references alongside of playing a Charlie XCX or Sabrina Carpenter or even Motown and Michael Jackson and Aretha Franklin, and balancing all these things, but playing it in our own way, whether it's a house remix or we're scratching or doing something in a cappella on top of it. We have a really great opportunity to showcase ourselves because they allow us. Like Michelle really pushes. We want to have the DJ on camera when you're filling, on this, we have a camera that's filled. They could just cut to us at any time. Like not a lot of organizations really showcase the DJ in that manner. Yeah. And that's what we're really lucky that we have a team that respects the music part of entertainment as more than just playing a song, but as fulfilling an energy and creating a mood.
That's so dope. It's so tight. And I wish we had more time, bro. I have questions and I want to get into the inner workings and like all that. So you got to promise that you'll come back when you're in town.
When scheduling permits. Yeah. I'm so happy for you. And I'm like, I love that this podcast is doing so well for you and you're doing a really, really great job. I'm sorry I talked the whole time, but I guess
please come talk more. Thank you, bro. You're inspirational from every single time I ever turned the radio on and Flipside at 5 came on, and the first thing you're doing is cutting. First thing you're doing is scratching a sample.
Name drop.
So so everyone knows you're a real one. And then you're mixing great tracks, you're doing incredible blends, all that. Inspirational from that all the way up until seeing that Bulls game and watching you do your thing on the court, juggling records live. Just everything you talked about. It's crazy, bro. You've done so much, and I'm glad that you came and were able to talk about it and spread the inspiration. And
we just scratched the surface on it too. Like we didn't even talk about like the Twitch and like the streaming stuff and do what we did on the Pitbull tour. Like that's another awesome story that I gotta we'll save it for next time.
We'll bookmark it.
We're talking about our visuals for the Pitbull tour.
Okay, visuals for Pitbull. I want to talk about you were the first person I ever saw stream from the radio station on Ustream for sure.
Yes.
But I don't want to keep this guy waiting. I'm sorry, I gotta pee. Thank you so much. This man came through with an Emmy. Insane. I got to hold it. Thank you, bro. Thank you guys for watching. If you're on YouTube, like the video, drop a comment, subscribe. Algorithm activating activity. Let's go, champ. The God is in the building.
DJ Flipside 33 on socials. Yeah, let's go.
Let's go.
Well, alright. Battle raps cause I've shaken grown men to the point that they can't even face their own friends. That's why they rhyme about jewels, not life, cause the ice on which they skating is so thin. That's what I love about the human soul. It'll usually show when the truth ain't told.